gear seekers, I'm Nick. It's time to check out some more B550 boards today, and we're checking out an ITX board from MSI. It's the MEG B550I Gaming Edge Wi-Fi, according to the box over there, because the name's really long. I couldn't remember it. And just remember, ladies and gents, and I say this in every motherboard video we do on the channel, this is not a review. Roll the intro. Like I mentioned in the intro, these motherboard videos are not reviews, it's just overviews so you can get an idea of what comes in the box of the brand new motherboard and the feature set of these new B550 boards. So yeah, let's check it out. Alright ladies and gents, it's time to check out the MSI MPG B550I Gaming Edge Wi-Fi. Wow, that is an absolute mouthful. Anyway, let's get the motherboard out of the way so we can take a bit of a closer look at what's in the box with this brand new ITX B550 motherboard from MSI. First up, we've got the Wi-Fi 6 antennas. This is pretty standard for all of these motherboards, but I do actually prefer these dipole type of antennas to the shark fins. They're just a lot nicer. There's also two SATA cables or SATA cables for your 2.5-inch SSDs or your spinning rush drives. There's also this round circular plastic device that no one has a drive to read. Please give us USB sticks. The more I complain about it, the more likely we are to get USB sticks. There's also this MSI product guide that basically just shows you all of the latest MSI products from GPUs to motherboards to laptops and monitors and cases and basically everything you can possibly think of. There's also this sticker. Now, this sticker is very, very special. It will give you 16 billion extra frames per second in Fortnite at 8K if you put this on the outside of your case. It's a real bit of hardware mastering. There's also this Join MSI Rewards program card. This basically just tells you how to join and you can possibly win stuff and earn points and claim rewards and all that kind of stuff. Next up is this little card saying, thank you for choosing a MSI product. This product was made with great passion and we hope you could enjoy it. I also hope that I can enjoy it, and this is basically just a product registration card. Next up is the manual. Now, this is the smallest manual I've ever seen for a motherboard, which is quite fitting considering this motherboard is absolutely tiny because it's an ITX motherboard. There's also some M.2 screws for the two included M.2 slots on this motherboard. There's one on the back side of the motherboard and one on the top side of the motherboard, as we're about to see a little bit later in the video. There's also the quick installation guide. This is a handy little bit of documentation that will show you how to install a stock CPU cooler for both Intel and AMD socketed CPUs, and it's great for a first-time builder. Alright, enough of that. It's time to unsheath this new B550 ITX board so we can take a little bit of a closer look at the features set and all of the things on the board. Are you ready? Let's do it. First off, there's a 3-pin 5-volt addressable RGB header, there's a USB 3.2 header, there's a USB Type-C header, there's 4 SATA or SATA ports for your 2.5-inch SSDs or your spinning rush drives, there's a 24-pin power connector to send all of the juice to your brand new B550i MSI board, there's also a CPU fan header and an AIO pump header as well. And if we look across the top of the board, there's something very interesting going on here. There are some diagnostic or post LEDs, so if your computer's having a problem and there's something wrong with it, this will help you diagnose what's actually going on with your system. And to the right of that, or to the top left of the board, there's an 8-pin EPS power connector to send all of the juice to your brand new CPU that you're going to put on this motherboard if you decide to use this board. Now, this board features a standard AM4 socket for Ryzen 3000 and above CPUs. It does not support the 3200G or the 3400G. However, I suspect it will support later generation APUs that are inevitably coming anyway. There's also 2 DDR4 RAM slots supporting a total of 64 gigs of RAM with a maximum overclock speed of 4600 megahertz. You'll also notice there is a massive heatsink. It's the entire I/O cover and it helps cool the 8+2+1 phase digital VRM setup. And if we flip the board over, there's a lot going on here. There's the backplate for the standard AM4 socket for the cooler mounting. There's also an extra heatsink to help cool the MOSFETs on the back side of the board, and there is an additional M.2 slot on the back side of the board as well. And if we flip the board back over and we pull off that heatsink on the top side of the board, you'll notice that it's also actively cooled, which is quite compelling and interesting for B550. But let's first take a look at the connectors. There's the front panel audio connector. There's the front panel connector for all your lights and all your switches to turn your system on and to let you know that your system's on. And there's also a USB 2.0 header for legacy things like AIO coolers and that kind of stuff as well. And as I mentioned, there is an M.2 slot on the top of the board. This is a PCIe Gen 4 M.2 slot. You can also see the heatsink for the chipset as well that the active cooled fan actually connects to as well. And there's also an additional PWM fan connected to the right of that, and a by 16 PCIe slot as well. If we take a little bit of a look at that heat sink for the chipset, it is unusual that it's actively cooled. I think they did it just to make sure it was cooled properly, and you can see it's got a little integrated fan with a cable that plugs into the motherboard to power that fan. I'm not sure about acoustics of this fan, but yeah, we'll find out in a build video later down the line. There's also a BIOS flash button, some USB ports, there's a PS2 port if you decide to use a legacy mouse and keyboard. There's also an HDMI 2.0 port, antenna connectors for the Wi-Fi 6, there's some USB 3.2 ports, there's a USB Type-C port, there's also 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, which is becoming standard very, very quickly, which I'm completely behind. There's 7.1 digital surround sound with SPDIF and optical out, and an integrated I/O shield. It's time to visit our friends over at Peel Corp, because after that, we're going to take a look at some B-roll. You guys ready for some B-roll? I am. Let's do it. Ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the first look and overview of the brand new MPG B550i Gaming Edge Wi-Fi. This is a pretty feature-packed board. It does have a few things that I found odd, mainly this chipset fan, which is quite unusual for B550, but I suspect it's to do with the form factor and yeah, just to really make sure that it can cool it. Now, if you wanted to grab yourself one of these boards, these aren't out yet, but they're going to be releasing for $199 US. There's no Australian pricing yet, but yeah, we do know how much the US pricing is, and I'll drop any more info to it as time goes on, and I'll drop some info in the description if you guys are interested in knowing a little bit more about this cool little board. We'll probably have a build with this coming really, really soon. We've got a stack of ITX cases that are beginning to pile up in our storage area, so we will be doing a lot more ITX builds very, very soon. If you like the music you heard here, ladies and gents, I make the music. It's available over on our Patreon. There's a link to that down below if you want to get early access to videos just like this one. We're also on Floatplane. If you want to support the channel, hit the join button. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button twice and tell us what you hated about it. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't, turn on the notification bell, all that stuff. You guys know how YouTube works. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peek, we seek. And look at it. It's so small. It's so small. Very small. I love these ITX boards. I can't wait to do a build with it. You guys keen? I'm keen. Let me know what you're keen to see, like case-wise. We'll see if we can get our hands on it and we can do some more ITX stuff. Thanks for watching.